Hello and welcome to the regular Tuesday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID. I've got one guest with me at the moment, a regular friend of the show. I'm expecting a couple more to show up at any time. James, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Nice to be on as ever on a Tuesday evening. Yeah, just a bit bewildered at the Spurs situation, but hey ho.
I mean, we'll get into it. We've still got plenty of things to talk about, and from now on in, it's going to get busier with the more games we're involved in, which is good because it gives us other things to talk about other than a transfer window, which I absolutely hate. Right, so because there's just so much BS reported out there and all of it. But the Asian tour squad, we'll have a chat about this and I'm hoping Tom will come on because he made some good comments in the WhatsApp group, fellow admin, shortly. Yeah, we're going into this tour well undercooked, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, we got one player in. I get the intention was to bring in two, but then obviously a certain set of things occurred, bizarre things. And so we've only brought in one player because it's, otherwise it's exactly the same squad from last season. Minus, I guess, Werner. We've replaced Werner with Kudos, which, that's a significant upgrade, but that's the only change in the squad, really, right? Other than Vuskovic coming in, right? It's very similar to last season. We haven't got our business done early enough, and now we're looking at getting players in when in 14 days, 15 days, we have the Super Cup final, which, okay, isn't the most important game in the world, but it's a chance to win a trophy, and it's an official game. So, in 2 weeks' time.
20 to 13th, that game's played. And so we got 3 games. We got Arsenal away. Then we got Newcastle. Okay, let's bring the banner up for people. Let's get on the banners, and then I'll introduce people in the chat. We got, where are we? I've got so many banners. Yeah, this is our itinerary. Thursday the 31st, which is 2 days' time, we play Arsenal. We will do a predictive lineup tonight, which would be fun. At HongKong, it's at 12:30, so people, you're going to have to get up early for this one or not go to work or whatever, or take a long lunch break. Then Sunday the 30th August, we've got Newcastle in World Cup Stadium. There's no notice of another game. Normally we play a K-League side or something while we're out there, which I thought if you want to fit some games in there, is the time to do it, but it doesn't appear to be there's a game there unless they're hiding it from us or haven't bothered to post it. And then Thursday, the 7th of August, Bayern Munich. It might still be part of the Harry Kane deal. If they don't play the game, can we have him back, right? That's at half-5, which is more reasonable, which will be half-6 in Germany. And then Wednesday, we got the Super Cup. I mean, them 2 games, the game against Wickham, if that wasn't bad enough, we should have gone in 2-0 up at half-time as far as I'm concerned, right? And then if that wasn't poor enough to follow it up, which was like an abysmal performance against Luton. I mean, what was your take on that?
Yeah, I don't get too worked up at pre-season stuff just because, it's pre-season and especially the new manager. But, you do really expect us to win those sorts of games. And, I'd rather we have shocking performances in the first days of pre-season, right, in games that don't matter so much because I guess what's more important is learning the new routines, the new setups, the new tactical stuff, all that jazz. But, it doesn't bode well when we can't beat teams who we ought to be thumping, right? Yeah, I don't know. Good.
Well, I'm just going to go through the chat. We got 50 viewing us already, which is excellent on a Tuesday night. There is a red subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. If you aren't already subscribed, please subscribe. It just helps the channel. Doesn't take you long. Only a click away. I'll just go through some of the comments. Start off. Lisa, big up, Lisa, friend of the show. Yeah, good evening. Milton, another good friend of the show, down in Aussie. How you doing, Milton? Spuds in here, Armours Player, big up. Tottenham Ranger, yeah, another members. We are Spurs TVs here, yeah, big up. Tottenham Ranger again. I've seen this rumour. Tottenham Ranger, I believe it want to see it, yeah. I think every fan's going to believe anything when they see it. Not till they go on the shirt. No, says Kevin. Big Ange Gason feeling back. Don't tell me there's a there's a movement for bringing him back. I don't even trust Fabio Brazil. I just think, look, he's as well intentioned as some of them are out there, but he might be one of the first to get the information, but like most of them, they're only clever after the fact. We've got, good evening, Adrian James. Good evening, Paul. No, Ranger again. Thank you, Milton. Okay. Drew Lala's in here. Hi, Drew Lala. Right, okay. Milton. Daniel Knight is in here. I might mention Vlahovic tonight, Dan, if you don't behave yourself. Tottenham Ranger again. I think it's beaten PSG. I don't care. If we lost to Arsenal and Newcastle, mum's mixed teams. We've got quite a few in here. Daniel, yeah, I've been searching for weeks, yeah. Tottenham Ranger at PSG, we go full strength. Yeah, we could actually debate on what is actually our full strength at the moment. Smash the like button. Yeah, well said, Daniel. Milton again. Daniel, yeah, if you've got questions in the chat, get them in as well. I mean, we like to engage. Big up audio, good to see you again. G Giant 68, big up G Giant. Don't think I've seen you before. Welcome. David Clark, yeah. The Madison Fan Club. Welcome, David. We are Spurs TV. Right, let me get back to the banners. So what I'm going to bring up, actually. I'm going to bring this up. This is our squad. Let me remove that comment. Don't think I do. Let's remove that as well. Well, back for this. Banners. This is our squad, our tour squad, James. We know that Dragison's not got, well, we have injury, and we've got injury woes as well, but it's lightweight in the sense that we need a left back, don't we? We need another left back, certainly, yeah. And we need to stiffen the midfield as well, and we could probably do with another striker or you know, another winger.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at Van der Ven playing left back or Ben Davies. It's not really ideal.
Or Donnelly or Spence.
Yeah, it's probably Spence, right?
Yeah.
Spence and then Porro on the right. I mean, it's not ideal. I'm annoyed because it looked like we were actually going to get our business done nice and early this season, or at least 2 first-team players in. And that hasn't happened. And it kind of seems like I get that whole situation was outside our control to an extent. But equally, when something like that happens and everything stops for a week, there has to be a plan B player you bring in. Because now whoever else we bring in, they're not going to have done pre-season with the squad, which means they won't be up to speed. And it's going to take them longer than it already would have taken them to really get in and fit into the squad, which is going to impede us in the beginning of the season. For sure, we need to hit the ground running. We do look lightweight in a lot of areas. I think there's still quite a few players there who probably are going to end up leaving or be on the door out because they're perhaps not good enough. I think probably someone like Basuma is going to go. Some of the other names there, they might go. You know, we've spoken about Richarlison before. It's not, you know, he signed one player and he effectively replaces Werner. He is certainly a massive upgrade on Timo Werner because Timo Werner was terrible. And I quite like Kudos from what I've seen of him so far. So great. We've improved one position.
Yeah.
You know, we finished 16th last season. You know, we need to be improving more than one singular position, especially when you're changing from a manager who plays football in one very specific way to a manager who plays football completely differently. You know, he's going to need his players. So it is worrying, but we tend to do things later on in the window anyway.
Yeah. Let's go through. I mean, there's 7 academy players in this squad, and I'm including Luka Vaskovic in this. Let's talk about those then. Like, guy at the top, George Abbott. What's your impressions of him? Did you see him against Wickham?
No, I don't think so. I tend to watch like extended highlights of those preseason games. They've done something here that really annoys me. They haven't listed the players by position. They've listed them by alphabet. That really annoys me.
They've done them on surnames, not Christian names, haven't they? Right. Well, Abbott, I mean, like, I'm impressed. He came through the under-18s as captain, still at young age, 19, I think, captain of the under-21s. And he did get a pre-season game, but the game went past him when he came up with his name. And then you got, like, against Wickham, he looked good. He did look good. He didn't do anything wrong. He's worth another look. And this is a problem because the Arsenal game's all about pride more than anything else, not losing. But will Frank give these players a runner? He's took a big squad away. I mean, we know we got 3 more games to go before we play PSG. So he's looked good. All right, I'm going to come down to Junaid Byfield. If everyone don't know who he is, he's only 16, 17. So look at him. He's built like an oak tree, right? And so highly rated at that level. Defender, converted from a striker actually to a defender, and he looks promising. But you never know what's going to happen to these players, to be honest with you. Right?
It's hard to judge. I mean, do you remember
you can't.
Ange's first pre-season, where Lo Celso looked really incredible? I remember particularly against West Ham, was never seen again after that. So, even when a player does really well, sometimes it can be a false flag. I do wonder if taking such a big squad was beneficial or not, because when you look at the games we're playing, we're playing Arsenal. We can't. I mean, all these games could be played in London, basically, but no, let's fly thousands of miles away to do it abroad. Genius. Realistically, they're all top-level opposition. How many minutes are some of the younger guys going to get? I'd like for them to get quite a few minutes, but at the same time, I would like for us to at least be relatively competitive in these games. And I do wonder if they're only going to get 5 minutes or train a bit, would they not have been better served, some of the younger guys, to just do pre-season with the under-21s and play games here? And I mean, if you want that, Frank wants to review it, I'm sure someone can film it. But I don't know. That's just speculation from me.
Good evening, fellow admin Tom. We just talked about the squad. I know you had some interesting comments to make about the tour squad yourself. So I was just talking about Abbott because I don't know. I mean, I watch the games on Spurs play, but I don't know if you watched them and all that. But we're talking about that. But I just saying that we're really going into this tour really undercooked, basically. And then we were pants in them 2 pre-season games. So your take on the squad?
When you look at the squad in a list, how it is there, it's really hard to kind of make a judgment on the players and where we're weak, where we're not weak, and stuff like that. Someone on X actually laid it out per position, and when they did it by that, I was quite shocked at how poor our squad is, to be honest with you, and how unbelievably understaffed we are in certain areas as well, like left back obviously being the clear obvious one. The fact that Ben Davies is now our starting left back with Udogi's injury, which, judging by his social media, isn't going to be as long out as what some people are fearing and stuff. But it's painfully obvious that we need reinforcements, but it's also painfully obvious that squad's massive as well. There's so many players there, and the fact that they were quite vocal that Moore and Scarlett and Devine were left out so that they could go and find moves and stuff like that. And yet we've got Basuma, Richarlison, and other players in this travelling team that could also do with being left behind, so they could find new clubs and stuff as well. But I think it's really difficult to tell, isn't it? Because I think we'll find out a lot more from the next few friendlies as to who Frank sees as his main sort of 11, 15, 16 players. Very hard to tell and judge anything from the first 2 games because he rotated so much because he just wanted to get minutes. And that's why I don't think we can worry too much about the performances of the first three friendlies, is because actually it was more about just getting minutes into the players' legs than anything. So
this was why I wanted to go through the youngsters, because there's 7 youngsters in this list. Did you watch the Wycombe game, or was you busy doing other things?
No, I mean, I don't have Spurs play, so I managed to just catch what I could of it. But yeah, I mean, I thought Abbott was, from what I saw, was really, really good. Composed on the ball. He just doesn't look like he'll ever give it away. Like he seems to, even at his young age, know when to play the risky pass and when not to play the risky pass, and he gets stuck in, and he always seems to be showing for the ball as well, which is really refreshing from a centre midfielder to be able to see that. So I mean, I said it on Sunday show, I really think Abbott could have a place in this squad this year and play a good amount of games, to be honest with you. I think actually he could kind of almost play, do what Archie Gray done last year, and actually be that guy who could step into right back and centre back and midfield if needed and stuff. But yeah, I mean, Abbott's the one that sticks out for me. Obviously Byfield, the young, because Byfield, I seem to remember when we first got Byfield, or when I first heard about him breaking on the scene, that he was a striker.
Yeah, he was.
And now he's a centre back.
Yeah, either Stuart Lewis or Wayne Burnett changed him. I mean, for someone who's 16, 17, I think he is, right, only.
The
size of him.
Isn't he?
Oh, the size of him. I haven't gone through the others yet. I mean, look, like I watched all the under-21 games the year before last when they swept the ball, and they're a joy to watch and exciting. But realistically, you get Harry Kane come through every 10 years or whatever it is, if that, and I would like to think that we could bring a crop through like Fergie did at Man U when he brought the Neville brothers through too, didn't he? Brought Giggs and Beckham through, and with Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes, and they had 5 experienced players with them. But
I think football's a very, very different game now. Yeah, I think football's a very, very different game now. Like, back then Ferguson was afforded the time to be able to bring those players in. Like top 6, top 7. To be honest, any Premier League manager is not afforded the time to be able to blood 5 or 6 youngsters in one season. If you're doing that, you're accepting that actually you're not going to win every game. But for a manager, it's so quick to get sacked these days that that's why you don't see as many youngsters coming through the academy as what you maybe did 20, 30, 40 years ago. I mean, like you said, a Harry Kane once every 10 years. I mean, Harry Kane, that's probably a once every 50, 60 years, like a player that good coming through the academy. But, I try to think how many players we've really had come through academy that have been mainstays in the first 11 for a prolonged period of time. And I really, really struggle to think. And I think that's where Tottenham have failed a little bit over the years. I think it's something that's definitely going to improve. There seems to be a lot of investment and stuff like that. But, Andros Townsend, maybe, Ryan Mason, slightly, Skip a little bit. But all of those players, still, they got sent off when we realised they weren't good enough. So I can't really think of any academy players other than Harry Kane that have come through from the academy and been a mainstay in our first 11. No,
Madueke came through, didn't he? But he was impatient at being the first team. Marcus Edwards
got an opportunity.
Well. Yeah, so
never got an opportunity.
I was just welcome, by the way. Good evening, Reggie.
Hey, good evening. Thank you, and sorry for being late.
It's all right.
Pick up on Tom's point. I actually think there's an issue with our academy. You got to think that Tottenham is based in North London, and when I look across the other side, I dread to name them. They're bringing in the likes of Ethan Nwaneri, Miles Lewis-Kelly. Regardless of what you feel about Arsenal, those, you can tell that those are solid players. Like, you can see a solid player when you see one. When you saw Adam Walton walk into Crystal Palace, you knew immediately that he was going to be a good player. And I'm just wondering what's gone wrong with our scouting system. Because, like, when you said Skip and Harry Winks, I'm not being funny, but these are not. They're not.
100%.
Not scaring anyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, how the hell is that what we're producing after Kane?
But it seems like, Deji, that any player that potentially had something about them. By the time they got to 16, 17, 18, they were like, well, I'm not getting any opportunities here. So I mean, like you say, Madueke, he was one of the best upcoming products from our thing, and literally the first chance he got to go to some other club to get minutes, he did it because he knew he weren't going to be afforded the opportunities here, which is a real shame. But that looks like now with the coach, is it Stuart? I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
There's the youth team coach.
The pathway guy now. He's been promoted from the under 21.
Hopefully, there's going to be opportunities afforded to them. The thing is, you're never ever gonna end up with 11 players coming from the academy into the first team. That's just not gonna happen. But like the fact that we've been so dry of any actually making that step from the academy into the first team is like a big worry. But I'm hopeful with the stuff that's been put in place now that we might see that, and the success that our younger players have had at different levels, that you might see that.
I hope so, because you look at West Ham, they've been able to bring players through, Crystal Palace players through, Arsenal players through, Chelsea players through. The only club that hasn't really brought any players through is us. And when I'm looking at, for me, the only player that is legit from the academy, and he's not quite an academy, if you know what I mean, but he is that Viskovic. You can tell that that's a player, and that's what I'm talking about. How comes we don't have more solid 18? People say Mikey Moore, but I think Mikey Moore needs more time. I'm not ready to say. Do you know what I mean?
They need to be afforded the minutes and the time to be able to do it. And I think actually this is a circumstance of the managers that we've had in for the last 5-6 years. Like Pochettino, people raved about him giving youth chances, but actually he didn't. Like all of the youth players that he gave a chance to, I hate to bring this up, but actually they were given a chance by Tim Sherwood.
First. Tim Sherwood, exactly, including Kane. And
Poch was renowned for hating loan moves. So none of those players ever got loan moves. They were stuck in the academy, and then when they didn't get the opportunities, they went and left. Then after Poch, you bring in Mourinho. Mourinho is never going to promote a youth player into the first 11 unless he absolutely has to. Conte, just forget about it. He is never going to promote a youth player into the thing. So, the managers we had, and even Postecoglou was a bit hit and miss with young players and stuff as well. And Nuno, that was never short lived. So, I think actually it's a situation of the managers that we've had and the pressures that have been on them to get top 4. Like, it's a lot easier. Without any disrespect, it's a lot easier for Crystal Palace to blood youngsters because of the lower expectations that's expected of that team. Like if they're finishing, if they're just staying in the division, like for a long time for Crystal Palace, that was a successful season, is staying in the Premier League. Whereas Tottenham, it was Champions League, Champions League football. And I think that's where you get the difference.
Yeah.
But the only thing I would add to that, sorry. Yeah, just last, I have my son, he's 10, and he's in and around this sort of thing now, and I'm looking at Man City, and they brought in the right back. He's not even right back; he kind of plays everywhere. They've got the other tall fella. I can't even remember their names, but even the bigger clubs have been able to successfully bring players. I think where Tottenham have got it wrong is you got to bring in solid players, and then bring in the likes of Donnelly. Because I look at Donnelly, and I think he done a great job last season at Leyton Orient. I think it was him. Why doesn't he get a sniff? Ashley Phillips. We had a season where we didn't have any defenders. Why aren't we bringing back Ashley Phillips? What was the point in bringing him in if you're not going to bloody use him? But I do feel there's something about the quality. If we can bring in quality like Kudus, like an Adam Walton, maybe like a Paqueta, and then you stick one like a Bergwall or an Archie Gray around him, that's how they develop. What you can't have is a situation like last season where you're depending on Mikey Moore, Archie Gray, Bergwall, all in. Do you get what I'm saying? And then hoping for the best. That doesn't make no sense.
James, the guys make good points here. And my angle on it is the fact that our academy was ripped to pieces when Paratici came and Dean Resnick left. So it's really a new involvement we've seen there, which is all for the better. And also, with the likes of Chelsea, Man City, and the others, where they're players that are developed, when we've sent players out on loan, we haven't got it right. We've been crap at that, haven't we? We've been crap where we sent them when they haven't been developed, they haven't been played or whatever.
Yeah, no, our loan moves have been pretty naff. But I think we're in this awkward position where, on the one hand, very high expectations of the club, but we won't back that up in terms of signings always. Or when we do spend, we typically invest poorly, shall we say. We're not getting great returns in the stock market. And then, again, there's not a clear path for players from the academy to the first team. Whereas if you look at City, who've had players come through, when they've brought in players, there's a very strong 10 around that one player, those two players. There's a very easy structure for them to slot into on the pitch. We don't really have that. We've gone through a few managers who will play different types of football. So how are the academy players meant to know what they're going to be playing roughly when they go to the men's team? They can't. So that's already a barrier to entry for them. There's also incredibly high expectations. You know, again, for a Palace, they can afford a player to perhaps, develop a little bit more. We kind of can't because we need to be challenging for trophies or people won't be happy. We need to be top 4, top 5. Very high expectations. We can't afford to weaken ourselves unless there's an injury crisis or the player's exceptional. Like you look at Bofal, look at a few other players, that sort of situation. Again, loan moves are poor. I don't know how you improve loan moves necessarily. I don't work in football. But you do have to think some of the loan moves are quite bizarre. It does seem as if there's several different strategies being employed. And we're kind of a bit lost. I don't know how you really fix it other than maybe having a very clear identity, and then that emanates the whole way through the club. Like, again, you look at Barcelona, right? A youth player at Barcelona is basically playing the exact same football when they reach the men's team. Very easy path through. Whereas we don't have that sort of setup. We don't have that sort of core philosophy around the club, and players want to play. They want to develop. If there's no chance for them to break through because there's all these individual hurdles and barriers, then they're never going to get that opportunity, and they're going to go somewhere where they can have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Deji, and yet we get it right with Vaskovic. I mean, believe what you believe. We either played 9.4 or 12 mil for him. I don't care. He looks absolute quality.
Yeah,
Pronounced Vaskovic, actually. Vash, believe it or not, for those that care about those sort of things. Yeah, I mean, he went from Hajduk Split, where we got him from. He went out to that Polish side in the league, and then he went to Westerlo with Divine. Then he's just stepped up. Each league was a step up, and he stepped up. And to me, I don't know about anybody else, he looks the real deal.
Yeah, it looks, and I think I said I can't remember which show it was, that it made me question why we went in for Kota Take. And I've got nothing against Kota Take. I don't know anything of him, but it's like one of the things that you need to do is you need to have a route in, and he looks like an obvious backup for Romero / Van der Ven. He should be next in line with Danzo to be coming in if any of them catches an injury. So I found it very, very strange, but he does look the real deal, and I really do hope he gets the opportunity to do that. The other thing I actually thought of, which was quite strange actually, is that you may also see him playing in the double pivot in midfield. Because the one thing that he does have is he bloody has a good eye for goal. Okay. And if he does, you saw the goals against Reading, then I'll play him further up the pitch. Do you know what I mean? And we're seeing now this kind of new thing. Chelsea are doing it with Reece James now in the double pivot. We've seen Liverpool experiment with Trent. I don't think it would be unreasonable if we don't get a number 6 to try to land in that 6th position. And I'd be more comfortable, dare I say, with Viskovic in the 6th than I would Archie Gray. And I know that's controversial, but when you're the real deal, you're just the real deal. And that's it.
I've seen so much of him. I mean, he's got vision. I mean, he questions his own pace. I don't think he's slow. He certainly wouldn't be slow in a Frank system anyway, because you're not parked on the halfway line anyway. So let's to see him in many foot races yet with others, So but he's got vision, positional play. I mean, like a goal assist, a clearance, which might have been covered anyway, but you've still got to be there to do it. Yeah, I think he's impressed everyone, isn't he? He's just impressed everyone. I mean, it's Odebert and Tell, guys. I mean, the club, Odebert came from the PSG Academy. He was at Burnley under Vincent Kompany, who raved about him. And we've brought him in. And Tell again. And to me, these are players, well, Odebert, they'd have looked at playing for Burnley, would have seen a lot of video footage of him when he was at Burnley and that. But Tell, bit of a surprise to some of us fans because, like, he's got a great attitude, but we haven't really seen him, like, excite us yet, have we? I mean, like, so he must be looking wonderful in training to be signed from Bayern. Did you?
Yeah, I got and I'm only just thinking this now, Adrian, but you kind of sparked this reaction from me in a positive way. Look, Tell is no mug because Bayern Munich are no mugs. And if you watch some of the clips of Tell, he's a good player. Even Harry Kane had nothing but praise for Tell. I actually think that's how much damage, depends on what side of the fence you sit on, but that's how much damage Ange caused to the team where decent players were made to look pretty naff. I think if Thomas Frank could get it right, you could have a potential Whistler in the making because he's a striker. His actual position is a 9, but he can play off the left-hand side very, very effectively, and he's done it. He's done it in the Champions League with Bayern for several seasons, even though he's so young. So I'm prepared to give him a shot. I mean, I would have loved to have seen a Matoma. I would have loved to have seen an Eze, you know, someone that we know, even a Pedro Neto, I know, you know, but someone of that ilk to be on the other side to partner Kudus. But I think with time and his passion for the club, we might be pleasantly surprised by Tell. I hope so. I hope there is a player there. But the one thing we can't do, though, is we can't keep Son this season. I'm sorry. I think he should go to LA Galaxy, be a ledge. And I don't mind, Adrian, if you guys, Tom and James, if you want to fly out and watch a game live in Los Angeles, I don't mind doing that with our little Son t-shirts. But I do think he needs to go this season. If we start the season with Son, then we're not serious.
Tom, Odebert and Tell, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Deji. I think Tell has the potential to be, you know, he was batted around before he signed for us. He was like one of the hottest prospects, one of the top talents that any team wanted to get, and Bayern Munich were lucky to have him. You know, obviously they have sold into us. I just don't think he fitted in with whatever company wanted. Or I think actually, to be honest, I think Tell was just ambitious and wanting to play more football. You know, before Tell came to us, he hadn't actually really played any games that season. So actually, he came to us not match ready in January, so he took a bit of time to get up to speed. He really, I think he does have the potential to. Yeah, I think comparing him to Visser is not a bad chat, especially when Visser, when you had Ivan Toney there and you had Visser and Waymo off of Ivan Toney, like he could definitely be that left forward. He's definitely more of a left forward than he is a left winger. I wouldn't put him as a touchline, but he's very direct as well, and I think that will suit what Thomas Frank wants. He wants those wingers to be really direct with the ball. Like as soon as they get it, they're thought to go towards the goal. So I'm quite hopeful that he'll have a good season. I think he's definitely a player that could develop into one that can easily score double digits every single season, playing in that role.
That's what I want from wingers. I don't want pretty wingers that got no end product. This is the whole thing.
Oh, he's got end product. Like you only have to watch like don't get me wrong, YouTube compilations that they can make anyone look great, but you only have to look at the goals that he scores, and he's very regular for cutting in from that left hand side and curling one into the far corner, bottom or top. So he's definitely got that ability to be able to do that. Odebert, he looked quite sharp and quite promising, and again he's another young French winger that's been raved about, and I think he's so comfortable on the ball that he could play in any one of those sort of free attacking positions behind the striker. That he can either play on the left, on the right, or as the 10. And
they say he's the most skillful. Madison's the second most skillful player at the club after Odebert. That's how highly they rate him.
And that's the thing, but we cannot go into this season relying on two 19-year-olds to be our thing. So I'm all for Son to have his sunset and go off to LA Galaxy or LAFC, sorry, and all of that. As long as we get a player in to replace him, like Tell cannot be the replacement for Son. Absolutely not. It's like we need to make sure that we are getting, a player in that can take over from Son. Even if it's not a direct left winger, but a player who is good enough to play across those three positions, so you have that versatility there. Fine, but we definitely need to invest on that side of the pitch. But someone's harmless potatoes just dropped it in the chat, but there's something I mentioned earlier as well that I could actually see Johnson playing off the left as well this season. But I just think if Son does leave, I'm not with Son. I'm non-fussed. If he stays, he stays. If he goes, he goes. The most important thing if he does go, we need to replace him with a top quality attacker.
James, I'm going to give you Donnelly and Lancashire. What's your take on those two?
Yeah, so hard to judge. I don't watch as much the academy as perhaps you do. I watch very little actually. My love of football has been somewhat diminished by a lot of the league performances last season. And actually, Tell isn't 19; he's 20. So he's not a teenager anymore. Still jarring to see a football player 2 years younger than me playing for us. But say Sarah. Decent players. It's just really hard to gauge until they get a sort of regular first team minutes. But I mean, I think most of us would feel perfectly comfortable with Bergvall getting a considerable quantity of minutes, and he's younger than Tell. He's younger than Odegaard, or he's the same age as Odegaard, I think. So to some extent, it's not even the age of the player, it's just how much first team football they've played. And it's really difficult to blood through players like Donnelly, especially when, we've had Spence come through. The Doggy's incredible. Lancashire, I don't know enough about, but yeah. I don't think the squad's terrible.
Yeah. Interesting comments, and I'll go through some of them. Your take on Lancashire and Donnelly, Tom?
I think Donnelly is the one that has the potential to make that transition into the first team. Not necessarily the first 11, but he can definitely be a big part of it this year. I can see it. He just has that confidence about him, and it's just where he ends up playing. That's going to be the main one. But with Lancashire, the one thing, whenever I've seen Lancashire play, he just seems to have this innate knack to be in the right place in the box at the right time. Like every goal I've seen him score for us has always been kind of in and around the 6-yard box, and picking up like those knockdowns or whatever it might be, rebounds from the keeper. So he has this good innate ability to be able to do that, which is one of the hardest things to teach a striker how to do. I just don't think we'll know until we see him play more. And I don't know. I don't know if he will be with us this season or whether or not he'll go out on loan. But I think the fact that Scarlett is clearly not for the club this year, at least, that might mean that Lancashire might hang around.
I see Scarlett 17. He was the best player on the pitch by far. One of those players that really stand out in a game. He was. What I like about Scarlett and Lancashire, whether they've got a future at Spurs or not, and most of these players won't, they've been coached well because they draw defenders as well when you see them on the pitch. You see them and we've scored when that's happened as well, which is good. Lancashire, they're all conquering the season, 23 league goals, over 30 goals with the cup games when they cleaned up. They're both very good finishers. But, we'll see. We know that, if we get 1 or 2 come through, that'd be something. If we got 3 or 4 come through, that would be brilliant. I mean, but because it never happens, you just don't see it. You just don't think it's going to happen. Big shout out to those of you in the chat and the 120 of you viewing us on all platforms on a Tuesday this late hour. Well done. We do go out a bit later just because it helps, the American, Canadian, and Australian audience as well. They got to get up early, but they do support the channel. So we try to mix it up. Right, let's move down on another banner. Not that. Let's get rid of that first. Daniel, let's go down. If I can find it. Or I'll just put a banner over the top of it. It'd be easier. Where was I at?
When is the Arsenal game?
It's Thursday. It's Thursday, right? These are the games coming up, guys. I mean, like Thursday we've got Arsenal, and then we're flying out straight away, and then we got Newcastle and Seoul. Then on the 7th we come back and we play Bayern Munich in their Alliance Arena tournament, and then we've got the one. If we lost all them 3 games and we won the Super Cup, I'd be quite happy. Right, and then we've got them. We're just not, my favourite saying, we're not having ready for this. Them 2 pre-season games against Wickham and Luton, I don't think they've inspired our fans with confidence, James.
No, I don't think it would inspire anybody. I don't know how you can trust it out. And then, we're going to play these feasibly significantly harder fixtures. I don't know, maybe there's a masterclass incoming. Maybe those fixtures were like, preparation. I don't know, it's tricky though, isn't it? The Arsenal game, I mean, I think everyone's made comments about the fact we're having a North London derby in Asia, which is just laughable in the first place. But the only saving grace of these fixtures is they're probably not going to be that fussed about them. Arsenal will be a little bit, but Newcastle probably won't be that fussed. Neither will Bayern. They'll probably look to it more as an opportunity to blood in young players. If we go full strength, we might have the upper hand because of that. So if you think about it, there's a chance. We are in with a chance. But if we go behind, I'll probably just turn off my TV. Garcia's coming back. The Super Cup is either going to be one of those games where we hold on and it's competitive, or we lose like 6-0. So that's going to be interesting. Or we might win. Brendan Johnson, 90th minute winner. Who knows?
Stranger things have happened in football. Yeah, I mean, he's got to go as strong as he can against Arsenal. We will do a predicted lineup. I'm going to go through this. So, or have I got it next anyway? Yeah, we can do it now. Why not? A predictive lineup. Now, before we've got some injury woes, guys. Before we do a lineup, you got your doggy with his knee. Don't think it's serious. Kulusevski with his knee is going to be out for a while still. Dragonson's going to be out for a while still. So I can see them 2 not even making the Champions League squad until January. But Ota Takai's done his foot. They love to put in these poncy medical terms now, don't they? Well, it's basically he's done it under his heel, I think. Solanke just had a knock. So he was his precaution. He didn't play in those pre-seasons. Bent acquired an illness. You never know nowadays if it's flu or COVID or whatever. So Maddison's the only question about him is his match fitness. I would think he'd get a half though, because he's got to get his match fitness from somewhere, before the season. So I think he'll get a half. Now, with those injuries, right, we haven't seen Kota yet. I did a rough sort of schematic on the team because this is where I think Vicar is definitely going to start. If you're going to go into next season, you don't put VDV left back if you're going to play him all season as a left centre back. So I've gone VDV and there Porro, which I think would be midfield pivot, question mark. You guys can argue. The number 10, question mark. Left back, question mark. And I think we can safely say it'll be Solanke and Kudus up front. Left back, guys, who's going? Tom? You got a choice.
What is it? Do you mean for Thursday?
Yeah, Donnelly, Davies.
I think I'll be very surprised if he puts all of those players out in one half. But I think, Thomas Frank's not an unintelligent man. He's called the professor for a reason. I think he knows that we're not prepared for this game in any way, shape, or form. Arsenal have been out in Asia for over a week now, so they've got over the jet lag and everything like that. We arrived there yesterday. We're not going to be in any sort of fit form. We're adjusting to a new system. We're adjusting to everything like that. 100% he is just going to be rotating players and playing lots of variations, because then not only are you getting minutes into players' legs, but also you kind of have that in your back pocket. If we do lose to Arsenal, you go, well, we treated this as a game as just getting as many players on the pitch as we possibly can. So there's absolutely no way that he starts that team. Plus, also, I'm pretty sure they said Solanke and Maddison aren't going to play Thursday anyway, because of their knocks and injuries that they've got. So they won't be playing at all. I'll be very, very surprised if you see all of. Well, I mean, you might see Vicario, VDV, Romero, Porro start. I don't think that's out of the question, but yeah, I still think he's going to be rotating.
It's Arsenal. If you go weak against Arsenal, if you go strong and we lose, okay, we were crap, right? If you go weak and we lose against Arsenal, the backlash. I mean, you get the backlash, don't you?
I don't know, because at the end of the day, like I said this on Sunday, it's a really weird one. If I was in charge of Tottenham, I absolutely would never have Arsenal as a pre-season friendly. That's just ridiculous in itself, because it's just a lose-lose situation with everything. But like, if we beat Arsenal will go, well, it's only a pre-season friendly, what's the point? And then if we lose to Arsenal, we all go, well, it's only a pre-season friendly, so who cares? So whoever wins has bragging rights. Whoever doesn't win just goes, yeah, who cares? It's pre-season friendly. But I actually think we'll see Kinski start as the first goalkeeper. I think he may trial in this game VDV at left back. I think if he is going to go with a pretty strong squad, a team that he thinks that it might be his team, then I think he'll probably do Kinski in goal, Van der Ven left back, Romero and Vuskovic in defence with Porro.
All right, we'll stick with the left back. We'll move to the midfield pivot in a minute. James, I mean, left back. This is one thing when I did I was a fan of Ange, but when I critiqued him, I critiqued him justifiably. We go away to Liverpool and we get smashed, right? But when we played Liverpool at home, Spence played at left back and he marshalled Salah. And yet he didn't do it again because he's the second fastest player at the club after VDV Spence, apparently. I've been researching that. I want to see Spence establish himself on the right and has to get a fucking left back in, right? You know what I mean?
I really like Spence. Spence is one of the only players who didn't piss me off at some point last season. Pretty much everyone annoyed me at some point last season and made me shout and scream. Particularly, I think it was one game I watched in a pub with my mate who doesn't like football, and I got quite angry and I got asked to be quiet. But no, Spence, quick, he's strong, and he's a scrappy player. A little bit like Richarlison, he fights. Really like that about him, and I don't think he's a bad player technically either. It's difficult when you've got Udogie, who I think's a superb player, really, really good fullback, maybe even a really, really good wing back. Porro, I think, will be an excellent wing back. My trouble with Porro is I just don't think he's very good at defending sometimes, and I think Spence is much better defensively, and I don't necessarily know that you lose tons going forward. Like, I think Porro is a better attacking player than Spence, but I'm not sure how much you lose. I'm not sure how big that divide is, whereas comparatively, I think Spence is significantly better defensively. Porro is obviously much better technically. I think his ball carrying is very good. And also, under Ange, he was playing that sort of inverted role. He was essentially playing like a midfielder. He was playing almost like a Philip Lahm role, which, he obviously, I don't think that was the best role for him. Whereas, he's a bomb down the wing type player. I would like to see Spence play. I mean, even just playing a left back. He's going to treat the preseason game against Arsenal like it's, do or die. I mean, we signed him on the back of the fact that he absolutely destroyed Arsenal while playing for Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup. So,
yeah, I would like to see Spence there simply because, like, they're good on the wings, Arsenal as well, and he's got the pace. And you got VDV next to him, even more pace. You got Porro. He did play a bit reserved and he's a bit conservative the last couple of games I've seen him. So obviously there's been some sort of tactical change there. Words have been spoken. Depends if we got three at the back, he can bomb on. They can cross over the back three then. But Tom, the midfield pivot. I mean, like, Bentancur's gone. He's on the trip, so he's obviously not that ill. If it really was COVID, he wouldn't be going. So maybe it was flu or something like that, right? I would thought that he starts, but because very successful in them 5 games. Away to Brentford, away to West Ham when we stank the place out, and the 3 away games in Europe, we end up lifting a trophy. We sat with a midfield pivot, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I think it is impossible to predict what team he's going to put out against Arsenal, because he could full well do 2 different teams in both halves. Like, I would not surprise me if he decided to do that. So, I mean, if Bentancur was ill and he's only just getting back up, he probably won't start. But I imagine, based on Bentancur, I don't think he will necessarily start because of his illness and stuff like that he had. He could probably go with Bergvall Basuma, which would be annoying because I don't think.
Do you think this will be a game
we should be wasting time playing?
Yeah.
Basuma,
do you think it'll be a game we won't see a mad influx of substitutions because it's Arsenal or certain players will get up?
Look, Adrian, take the fact that it's Arsenal out of your head. Like, Thomas Frank is going to save face and just treat this like it's any other team, and he is gonna, because if he's seen as going for it and we lose, there will be more uproar with that than if we're constantly rotating players and changing the team and stuff like that. Because then we go, well, you know, he's rotating players, he's getting minutes into their legs, he's trying to settle in what he wants the style of football to be and everything like that. Like, what you said earlier, I actually think it's the complete opposite. I think fans will be way more forgiving if it's treated much more like a pre-season friendly and there's lots of rotation and everything like that, and we end up losing. Who cares? You know, if we actually go and put our best 11 out, and they play 70, 80 minutes of the game and we lose, then that is even worse.
Deji, give us your take on the midfield pivot and cover what Tom's just said. We'll do the number 10 and left wing afterwards because we like to break it down.
Yeah, I think Basuma is he's on his last legs, to be honest. I think Basuma,
he's got lucky legs, and he's lucky he can stand on them as well, aren't we, son?
He would need to put in a big shift in this game if he wants to stay. So I could see easily being Basuma and Papsar. It was very intriguing to see Bentancur and Papsar start. And I think he could definitely go with that again. I listened to Thomas Frank's press conference earlier, and he talked about knowing the fact that it is Arsenal. I think he's going to go for it, and rightly so. And the reason why I'm saying that, and I slightly disagree with you, Tom. I don't think we can give up Raw simply because we can hide behind the fact that it is pre-season. Even if we get pumped 9-0, we can still say, shut your mouth, you scumbags. It's only pre-season. You wait till the real thing. Do you know what I mean? But I do think there's something about wanting to test our boys against Arsenal because they're a good team, whether we like it or not. And this is the only time I will say this, is pre-season. Once the league starts, they can shut up their ass. But, you know, I would like to see a fairly strong 11 go toe-to-toe with whoever they pull out for the first 45 minutes, and then he can do whatever he wants after that. Because if we can go toe-to-toe, that's a good sign for me that Thomas Frank has got something. Do you know what I mean? Because if you don't, you can't really measure it, can you?
Yeah, I agree. I would like to see us do that. I'm just not convinced that that's what's necessarily gonna happen. Like you said, in his interview, he did, ham up the fact that we are playing Arsenal, they are a rival, like you don't want to lose to a rival and stuff like that. So, and I think it'll be good to actually now, after having 3 preseason games where the team's been completely rotated and stuff like that, to actually see more of, okay, who are you thinking is going to be your first 11 going into the season based on if we don't sign any more players.
Split as well, guys. You've got David Clark commenting here, and then you've got Kevin saying he don't care. We get the angles. I just want to see.
That's it. But that's what I said earlier. I was like, whichever team loses, they're just going to say, well, it's only a pre-season friendly. That is literally like whoever wins has bragging rights, and they're going to mock the other team. Whoever loses is going to go, it's a pre-season friendly. No one cares.
And
that is literally it.
Arsenal can't say anything to us. They haven't won a trophy for years, so who cares, right? But So what a trophy, mate. But you know, I mean, it is ridiculous that we're even playing them in pre-season, and it's even more fucking ridiculous. Sorry, swearing, that we're playing them 6,000 miles away.
Yeah.
That's also stupid and ridiculous.
It's money. It's money.
Oh yeah, of course, it's money. But I mean, you know, this could have happened in North London, lads. But you know, Newcastle game, I totally get. That's a chance to see how good we are against a comparably pretty good Premier League side, and it'll be beneficial for them as well. So I think that game could also prove to be quite a good test of some of our younger players because they'll likely want to rotate. But yeah, I think against Arsenal, you have to at least try and win. I mean, I think one of the interesting things will be to see if Frank does that or doesn't do that, because obviously his leadership style is very, very different from Ange, from Mourinho, from Pochettino. Completely different. He's Scandinavian, so it's going to be interesting to see how he handles it.
I mean, I just wanted to add, and you know, Adrian's looking at me like you are spoiler alert, but I'm about to. You know, I could foresee Van der Ven playing left back. Done it before.
Yeah, I already said that.
Yeah, so and Danzo.
Yeah.
And the pivot of Basuma, Papstar. Number 10 would be Bergvall because he's the only 10 that I can see in the squad. I don't think it's quite Odibert. I know we've tried.
To the midfield pivot. We'll come to the number 10 afterwards. Pick your midfield pivot.
Basuma, and it has to be Basuma and Papstar because who else is available?
Bentancur.
Depends how ill he is, right?
Yeah, he's been ill though, isn't he? So yeah,
I mean,
going to be
you know,
Archie Gray.
Well, starting pivot, because I think there'll be change. There will be changes, like, you know, depends how the game goes as well. Frank and Arteta, there will be influenced by how the game goes. You know, so
yeah, I mean, you know, you're looking at someone like Basuma and Spence. Archie Gray, maybe. I don't know if he'll be bold enough to start Archie Gray in a game like this with like Saul. You know, maybe he starts against like Newcastle or something. Archie Gray, that makes some sense to me. But he hasn't played a lot of minutes as a six, right? He's not played many minutes in the pivot. He might play three at the back and go with a completely different midfield system. Don't know. Presumably, he's going to test out several systems in pre-season. So we'll see. But it's going to be one of those guys if Bentancur's, you know, sick, hungover, headache, who knows what's wrong with him. But it can't be that serious if he's gone on a plane. So he'll probably play Newcastle, right? Maybe him and Archie Gray will play Newcastle and Bentancur and Sarr play Arsenal. That kind of makes sense, right?
I think Basuma was lucky to get on a plane, personally. But, you know, I always support all the players and managers who are at the club, but I don't want him, you know what I mean? But Tom, midfield pivot. That bad, is it?
I know it's not. It's bad. I agree with. I think Bergvall would be a better 10 and stuff, but actually in the Wickham game, Bergvall played deeper and Papsar played as the 10, which I thought was bizarre. But then he came out with two goals and stuff. But anyway, so. If you held me at knife point right now, what do I think he's probably could do? I would say Basuma and Bergvall.
Yeah, I mean, to me, different because of them 5 games. When we stank it out at West Ham, got the draw, you know, and we won at Brentford 2-0. And we went to 3 European games, and that was when Bergvall and Bentancur played together. That would be my starting midfield pivot and seeing how it goes, because I just think they've proven to be a solid pair, basically.
That's who I would like to do. I'm just not sure when to call. Yeah, no, I was going to say that's who I would personally probably do is Bentancur and Bergvall. I just don't know, but Bentancur will be well enough.
Well, that's it. I mean, Deji alluded to that, but if he's fit, Bentancur, you still fancy Basuma, Deji? Do you like Basuma?
If Bentancur's fit, then it's Bentancur, Papsar. I think Basuma is out the door for Spurs and needs to be out the door. I think he's as good as gone, to be honest. And we might see that happen towards the end of August. But yeah, I can't see Basuma staying at Spurs for the start of the season.
I wouldn't be against Sarr. James, your take on Sarr? I mean, like, he's one of those players that's Marmite to a lot of Spurs fans, but he turns up for big games and he scores important goals. And like he was instrumental in us winning the Europa League. He won the ball in our half. He ended up down left wing, crossing the ball for Johnson to come sliding in and smashing it at the far post.
Yeah, what a goal! What a beautiful goal!
Diving header.
I think I really like Saul. I think he's just perhaps been at times a victim of the fact that he's not a 10 and he's not a 6. He is fundamentally an 8. And I think the issue is we've not had a good enough 6 for like a number of years now. And, Maddison has been hit and miss. So I think it's almost been a case of we've tried to play 4th 8s into roles they're not comfortable in. And because he's sort of quite a conventional box-to-box midfielder who's good defensively, but, he's not a world-class passer. He's good at passing. He's a player who's good at pretty much everything, but he's not incredible at very much. And I think he's sometimes been a victim of the fact that we're having to have strange midfield pairings to make up for our deficiencies. Like I don't think we have a proper 6. I mean, I like Bentancur, but I don't think he's actually a 6. He's an 8 in my mind. So at times, if he's playing with Bentancur, he has to drop deeper. He has to cover certain things. I think he'll show a lot more under Frank, I think, because he's going to have to cover less, I expect, to an extent. And hopefully we sign someone in the bloody midfield. But yeah, no, I think he's a really good player. I really like him. And also, he's still quite young, if I recall correctly. I think he's only like 22, 23. So
he's developing still, isn't he? This is the thing. It's the lack of oven-ready quality players in the squad, actually. That's our biggest problem. It's not that we don't like some of these players, but our fans have just run out of patience. I mean, we're all so pleased. We'll carry a warm glow into next season because we've won a trophy. You know what I mean? So like that will help. But I don't want to, and I don't believe that'll happen anyway, because like I've experienced us win quite a few trophies, and usually that carries the players forward, gives them belief and confidence. The only time it didn't really work out was when Ramos got the sack after winning the League Cup. But
in theory, that should help, especially the younger players. I think winning a trophy might mentally lift quite a few of them. But let's see. I'm quite annoyed at how the window's going, and I do worry about the strength of the squad. But I have a quiet sort of optimism, which every time I have that always ends up in us being terrible. But
Deji, number 10. Actually, I should have put number 10 attacking midfielder in, really, like a combination, because I'm not a big fan of numbers in the modern game anyway, So, but Maddison needs. Well, he's fully training now. How match fit he is? He's only going to get match fit if he's played.
Yeah.
He's are we going to play?
He might get some minutes, but he's unlikely to start the game because he's not fully recovered.
It could be Pentecost Saab with a.
Yeah, I mean, look,
Bergvall, running, being the attacking midfielder, really.
Yeah, I mean, look, David has been really contributing great this evening.
And he does all the time.
And then he said, Bergvall number 10. Now you're making me laugh. But the truth is, I think they brought him in.
He's not a 10.
He's not a 10.
No, not to me.
I think they played Bergvall in the 10 though.
Bergvall, his whole youth career, and whilst he was at his club in Sweden, played as a number 10. That was how he played. Now, I personally, from what we've seen of him, think he much more suits a more combative number 8, than a number 10. But he has played that position, so it's not laughable to think that he could play there, because he played it for most of his youth career.
Well, I think he's more a 10 than Papsar is.
If you're playing,
100%,
if you're playing a bit more in between the lines though, with a Bergvall, that is good, right? Even and I watched him playing for Gardens as well. But if you're, and I still didn't think, you're not going to be able to do that in a Premier League. I don't think he can do the 10 role yet in the Premier League. I see him as an attacking midfielder. I really do see him as an attacking midfielder, but I don't see him as a 10 in a Premier League. I think him coming from a bit deeper will get more space than if he's up tight. I mean, Maddison Maddison's very good when he's got the ball and he's marked tight anyway. You know, he'll either get a free kick or he's good. You know, he picks. He's got better vision than Bergvall and pick a pass out better when he's on song. But you might not agree with that.
Yeah, the other option, and you know, picking up from David Clark is, you know, Kudus can play 10.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Kudus is probably the best in all three of the front three positions for me. I think he's probably I wouldn't mind a Kudus type player in the 10. I wouldn't mind a Kudus definitely better than Brennan Johnson. And I think Kudus could do a better job than Tell on the left-hand side. So Kudus could go there, and then you could see Odebear take the left-hand side, Tell, or the other way around as an example. That could be an option. The one thing that I would say about our squad is it's dynamic. And the good thing about the way football is going, and I see that even with my son, is that when they say you can play multiple positions, they bloody mean just that. You can play multiple positions and do it well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think why not put Kudus in the 10 if we don't have Madden or Kulusevski available, and then do what you're saying, that let Bergvall play where he's going to shine and let Papsar play where he's going to shine.
Well, Odebert's played there in one game underage, didn't he? In the 10, I think. Then there was talk of like playing like, I don't know, Solanke in the 10 behind a Richarlison as a 9 or something like that. You know, there are lots of permutations you can confuse yourself with, like, if you really want to push it. Like,
yeah.
Left wing, Tom. Who's playing on the left? I think we can say Solanke and Kudus are playing, right? If Solanke's fit and he only got that slight knock.
I'll tell you he's playing on the left wing, and that's him and Son. Because if he doesn't play on the left wing, then Spurs forfeit like 50% of the money that they're making from this trip of him being mandatory or being out there. So that answers that one. Son.
So he starts. If he finishes the whole game, he starts.
Cheers, Tom.
Yeah, sorry to be a downer on it, but. You know, that's the whole reason why Son is you know, there's all these rumours of him not going until after this tour, and it's because actually he needed to go on this tour, otherwise we would have lost a load of money, and there's also a mandatory that he has to play in the game, otherwise we forfeit a large percentage of the fees that we're getting whilst we're out there. So Heung-min Son's going to be playing left wing. I think Kudus could start as number 10, but if Kudus starts as number 10, then I think you'll probably see Johnson start as the right winger. Although I would probably, if Son has to start, I'd quite like to see Son, Kudus in the 10, and Odebear on the right. And yeah, Thomas, I'm sure it got released today that Solanke isn't going to be playing against Arsenal. So you'll probably see Richarlison up front.
Well, my take on Son, I'll come to you, James, and then Deji, because Deji and me will disagree on this respectfully. But the club offered Son a new contract. Now, they're either giving him the year because they want to keep him, or they just want to keep some value in it so they can sell him on. There's two ways of looking at that. Then you've got the player himself, who deserves to make a decision because he's been with the club 10 years and he's a fourth highest goal scorer, 173 goals, or whatever it is. So, and so many assists, it's unreal. So, Sonny, to me, last year when I see him, when everyone's being very toxic around the club, and rightly so because we finished 17th, the fan base were using the scattergun approach. They were having a pop at everyone, the medical team, the start, everyone you could think of involved with the football club, apart from the kids, right? Apart from the academy players. And I watched Sonny against Ipswich away. I watched him against Villa away when we lost. He had the ball and done Matty Cash. He had the ball and done Cameron for pace running. I see him away at Ipswich when he's given the ball in the right positions, when Archie Gray slipped that through ball for him, because Son's good when he's running on, not when he's got his back. When we play our boring, slow football, when a player's got his back to goal, he's either got to beat him on the half term or pass it back. And most players pass it back when we did. It's like boring, robotic football. I've described it at. But against Ipswich then, Bergvall then put him through. And again, he was heavily involved. And everyone's talking about, he's not slow. I mean, and he's still the best finisher of the club. And I just think we need his experience for the Champions League. I just really do, whether he's on there as an impact sub or not. I get the fact that it'd make commercial sense to get rid of him if you could get 20, 30 mil for him. I get that. But what's your take on Son, James?
I mean, It's an odd one because people point to his age as a winger. I mean, he's younger than Salah, right? For example, and I don't know who's played more football, probably Son. It has been tricky because even before last season, the season before, he was, I thought, quite good for the majority of the season. Last season was the first season he's had with us for like 8 years, where he scored fewer goals than his XG. He pretty much always overperforms expected goals, implying he's a really good finisher. I do wonder if, to an extent, he's been carrying knocks, little injuries that haven't been fully addressed because he hasn't had the time to get his fitness correctly. I also don't think he suited the system he was put into. He was definitely, in that Ange system, he definitely should have been playing as a striker. He couldn't, he's never been a touchline winger. Maybe when he was 20, not anymore. So that didn't help him. It is a question of, will he have the fitness to be able to play? I think he very much would suit Frank in a number of different roles. But I think you do have to... He's perhaps getting to the stage of his career where, look at maybe Ronaldo towards the end of his time at Real Madrid. Someone else has to do the running for him at times, and he's very much just a finisher, an impact player. I would be fine with him staying for another season, even if he's only going to play 45 minutes in certain games, just because I think we're not going to go and sign someone who has the technical ability he does. That's just not going to happen. End of the day, you're looking at 80, 90 million, which we just will not spend on a single player. If he has perhaps lost a step, because, I mean, we're not going to replace him. And I think you definitely still can get value out of him in certain positions. I don't think he's a touchline winger. I think he was very much hampered by poor tactical choices last season. I don't know if there were last season. I think it's just, is the system, deal with it. But,
Don't you want him gone? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Adrian. I've probably got about
No,
5 minutes.
it's what you're here for. Give your opinion.
Yeah. Look, I wanted Son gone before the start of last season. I reckon we could have got about 50, 60 mil for him. And then maybe you can argue it was amazing to see him lift the trophy. I don't think football is about age. Ronaldo is 40. It's about being effective. The reason why Mo Salah is getting the contract he's getting is because he's maintained his consistency. He's still effective. He's still dangerous. He's still one of the best wingers in the league. I watched Son last year, and I went quite a few home games. And when you've got the home fans going, look, I'd rather he come off. I remember watching. Was it the Liverpool game where we got panned 6-3 and Timo Werner came on for like the last 15 minutes, but Timo Werner did more in that 15 minutes than Son, and I knew there was a problem. So for me, I think, yes, James is right technically, but the truth of the matter is, more likely than not, Son is really not effective, and we've already started to see the same traits already in the pre-season games. I think where Tottenham let themselves down is we never prepare for the inevitable. We didn't prepare for Kane's exit. We haven't bloody prepared for Son's exit. The kind of who the replacement should have been in line 2 years ago or last season, because part of the reason why James is feeling what he's feeling and is hoping, because that's really what it is. James is more hope than facts. It's because he doesn't believe in or he doesn't believe in the options that we have. And I agree with James. I don't believe in them either. So if we brought in a Matoma, he would say, see you later, mate. We got Matoma on the left-hand side. He's actually going to kill. And I think that's the issue. So, look, Son needs to go because I want to remember Son as a legend. And I want to speak about Son in a positive light. What I don't want is to find myself saying some sort of expletives during matches because Son has miscontrolled the ball, Son hasn't beaten his man, Son hasn't had a decent shot on goal, and then I'm saying horrible things that I will live to regret.
Okay, we'll move on. Tom, all too quiet on the Western Front, on the Western Front, on the transfer front, right? We like to give you facts and on Spurs Diehards, so 140 of you watching, if you like the content, please hit that subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. Just give you some facts. These are our loans that we know at the moment. Mikey Moore's going to Glasgow Rangers. I think that's a good move for him. Dane Scarlett, I don't know. Ashley Phillips at Stoke. Alfie Dorrance Aberdeen. And Alfie Devine looks like he's going to Millwall, right? Where Tanganga went, right? New contracts. Mikey Moore gets one August when he's 18. He can then change in the men's dressing room because he's 18. Ridiculous rule, isn't it? George Abbott, yeah. Byfield, yeah. For someone who's 16 or 17, I mean, his mother must have stuck him in a grow bag when he was younger. Real Kim Martin, yeah. Midfielder, been with the club about 8 years. These next two, they've just been promoted from the under-17s up into the 18s. Luca Williams-Barnett, he looks exceptional at his age. And Tynan Thompson, he's a left winger. He takes on people for fun. Right, now, issue we've got, guys, we've only got 7 homegrown. When a lot of fans criticise the club, and rightly so, because we shouldn't be in this situation, right? About, get rid of Davies, get rid of Madison, or get rid of Johnson. We've only got 7. So how do we fix this, James? Easy question.
Well, you need more homegrown players, right? I mean, the other issue is I can't remember which set of rules, because I remember this being a conversation point a few years ago. By Premier League standards, Davies and Johnson are homegrown, but they're not by FA standards or something because they're both Welsh. I can't remember what that's an issue. What competition? Anyway,
so because Davis was Swansea, so Swansea come under the British Premier League, because the Swansea are in the English Football League, they come under that same training. But because Welsh teams can compete in Europe, he would come under homegrown for Welsh teams, but not for English teams.
Right.
But so Eric Dyer, for example, he also never counted as homegrown because his youth was spent at Sporting Lisbon. So even though we had, a starting England midfielder in our team for so long, he didn't actually count as homegrown in either.
Okay, thank you.
So
that was
right.
I remember that being a thing at one point. I couldn't remember. Yeah, no. I mean, more homegrown players, either put some academy players in or sign someone who's English, I guess.
So, Deji, we bring in one of these in. I know I'd get you while you're on your phone. You see, do we bring in one of these in to give us the 8th man? Do you think we've got a chance of getting any of these in, or do you like any of these more sort of things?
You know what? I actually like once upon a time I wanted Jacob Ramsey. I haven't really seen much of him recently. I would have taken Kobe Mainoo when he first came onto the scene. I liked what I saw of Hayden Hackney. I don't know why we haven't bothered to go in for him. I love Adam Walton, and I thought that was a massive statement of intent. Harvey Elliott, I'm probably less keen on, but I do think he's a player. James McAtee, yeah, I would. All of these players, apart from Grealish, I would probably take at our club.
Yeah, Grealish, I wouldn't take. He doesn't score enough goals. He looks pretty old to the ball. Anyway, Tom, you taking any of these?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said before. I really think what I can see us doing now is probably getting Paulinho in, which I know doesn't solve a homegrown, but getting him in as your kind of experienced defensive midfielder, and then you look at getting, like a Kobe Mainoo in for a reasonable amount, or you look at getting like a James McAtee in.
He's 20 though. Kobe Mainoo's 20. I mean, the fan base went, I'm not another kid, another one straight out of maternity.
But the thing is, the difficulty is that Kobe Mainoo, he burst onto the scene and he was United's best player for a period of time. Like he was raved about. He then got like a few injuries, and then Amorim's come in, and Amorim for whatever reason hasn't fancied him in his weird system that he plays. So like I still think that player hasn't just disappeared. Like he is potentially as good as what he was when he burst onto the scene, if not better, but as he gets older. So like if you're going to take a punt on someone, then I feel like he is someone you take a punt on, but you take a punt on him for a certain price, right? Once you start talking 50-60 million, then I think you're that's just ridiculous. But I mean, again, on homegrown, such a I don't know what we do about it, to be honest with you. Morgan Gibbs-White was obviously what they were hoping was going to be the answer for the homegrown issue, and also improving the squad. Yeah. If you want someone who's going to be homegrown and you're looking at that for the future, and it's also a player who massively improves your squad, then you go and dump your 60, 70, probably 80 million on Adam Walton. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Right.
It's a very difficult one to just be like, yeah, go get this player, because in reality, there's not a lot of decent homegrown players, is there, on the market?
I watched James McAtee play for City. I watched him play for the under-21s. He's a good player. Elliot smacked it for him in the under-21 tournaments this year. So they're good players, but they are young again. All depends who else. We are being linked. I get we're linked with these because they're homegrown. I think there might be more of it. I'd like up and ready coming. If we got Polino in or Douglas Luiz, I don't think Spurs fans would moan about that. They still want a cracking attacking midfielder in there, but as well, if we got 60 million like we were going to spend on MGW, then at least you've got 20 mil you can put down on free players and bring free players in. So there's no excuse for us not finishing this transfer window strong, in my excuse.
I think
there's been no excuse for us to be as bad as we have been in the transfer window so far. So
go on,
we have.
I mean, my worry with someone like any young player who's like comes through at City is fundamentally, especially if they've been in the academy a long time, very set philosophy, at least over the past like 7-8 years, because of Pep Guardiola. There's a very specific style of play they've likely learned to play. And I do worry about how well, I think they have to develop somewhat more before they can just adapt to a completely different team, completely different style, because they, through their formative footballing years and just years in general, will have been taught a very specific way of playing football. And you have no way of knowing if they can adapt to anything different than that. You know, it's the same as young players from Barcelona. Sometimes they just completely crumble because they only know one way of playing, and without that structure around them, they really struggle in a different structure. I quite like Kobbie Mainoo, although I do just think he's a slightly worse Sarr in a lot of ways. United fans quite like that one on Twitter. So I'm not sure spending 50, 60 million, again, like 20, 35 million. Yeah, brilliant signing, I think. It's all about the money to an extent, isn't it? Harvey Elliott. A lot of people seem to not like him, like as a person, so who knows about that. But I don't think he really solves any issues we have. I don't know. I think the issue is a lot of these homegrown players just aren't worldies, are they? So
I was going to say, if we were prepared to spend 60 mil on MGW, then we should just put the extra 8 or 10 mil and bring in Eze. What are we doing?
Oh, yeah, completely agree. Because his agent, his agent has something to do with us anyway, doesn't he? I don't know why we didn't.
We got the same agency, so quite a few of our players as well.
It does seem baffling that we didn't just go and say, "Here's 70 million, come to Spurs." Right?
Simple. You got enough? Go on, Tom.
Oh no, I was just going to say, like, I think this is the thing now. You know, they were willing to spend that 60 million on Morgan Gibbs-White. They can't now deny that they've got that 60 million to spend, right? So it needs to go somewhere. I mean, today we have seen a few links to some attacking midfielders, obviously El Canous and I don't know how to pronounce it, but I think it's Sule or Sula from from Juventus, isn't he?
He's at Roma now. We looked at him when he was at Juventus. When Conte was manager, we looked at him then.
Yeah.
I'm going to come on to him in a minute, right? I'll come on to him in a minute.
Yeah. So, but again, they don't solve the homegrown kind of issue that we have. But it kind of surprised me that we didn't look at someone like James Trafford or something like that as a goalkeeper. And I don't know. Bad years and years of bad planning coming to bite us in the arse hard.
I'll mention a couple of players after we do this, and then we'll wrap up. Because non-homegrown, 16, right? Now we can probably discount Solomon Gill, which give us 14, right? Which, because we've only got one academy trained player for 3 years in Brandon Austin, it means that instead of having 17 non-homegrown in the Champions League when you're going to need them, we've got to have 3 off that. So we can only have 14. So with Gill and that gone, we've got the 14. Not so much an issue. Doesn't really affect the squad because you can add those off the B21 list. And like those that have been with the academy for 2 years, right, can go on the B under 21 B list. And you don't even have to put that B list up until 24 hours before a game when you play the game. And you can change it. Yeah, it's not written in stone. But it's still not good if you want to bring in quality players because then you've got to leave them out. Because we know at the moment also Dragusin and perhaps Kulu might not even be fit to be added in the first phase of the Champions League. because January you can put the list in again. I think you're allowed to have one more player or something if you get a new transfer or something like that. I can't quite recall from last year. I think it's only one. Right. So this is an issue as well. This is where we've had a bloated squad in the past, isn't it? And it's been thinned out. Right. So non-homegrown, and like we're actually looking to add to this if there's truth about a couple of rumours. And look, I don't mind us being out of sync if we're bringing quality players in. Deji, what's your issue with the non-homegrown?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's years of poor planning. The problem with this list is that is the injuries. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't really get a good run of half of these players here. If you think about this list, most of them were out for long periods of time last season.
Last year we left out Kinksky, Dragerson because he was injured, and Werner because we brought in Spence, Danso, and Tell.
Yeah,
right? We brought those three in. So it looks like we could be okay up until January. Then it might become an issue. And if you're bringing a player into this football club, he's a foreign player. He's going to want Champions League football, isn't he? That's why he's coming.
100%. Yeah, so it's a problem. I actually don't know how they resolve it. Obviously, they're going to have to do what they did last year and drop some people.
Kingsley for Austin again. Then Kingsley was left out second part of last season's Europa League. Still got a medal though.
It may be. I mean, I know that we got to be pragmatic. I really just feel that Austin deserves to go and play in the championship.
And we don't know if Basuma or even have we got Bentancur on this? If Basuma or Bentancur will be sold. I haven't got Bentancur down.
You've not got Bentancur on there, but you've got Bergvall. But I don't think Bergvall will count as that because he's under 21, isn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't count. Him and Sarr don't count because they weren't with our academy. This is where the confusion comes in. You got to be 2 years with our under 21s to go on that B list. That's why Bergvall and Gray couldn't go on it. But they, that means they go. If I've got this right, hang on, I'm getting my. So it is. I mean, the rules should be simpler, shouldn't they? Really.
But the rules are a bit of a minefield, but they're a minefield for us because we're not paid to be working it out. There's people at the club that are paid to work this crap out, and they don't seem to be able to do it. I think the problem we have,
we've got these issues, the others have as well. But we don't.
No. But I think the problem is the problem we have is that in 2-3 years' time, actually all of this is resolved because. Players like this, players like Bergvall, players like Gray, they all become club-trained players, and then that completely eradicates all those problems. So it might just be a case of the club just has to go, do we really want to dump a load of money on bringing in some homegrown players that, let's face it, we all looked at that list of players, and the only one that we all unanimously said would actually improve our team was Adam Wharton. So all the others were like, oh yeah, for the right money. But do we really want to go spend, 30-40 million on one of those homegrown players? And then in 2 seasons' time, we're going, oh, why is this player still here? How have we not got rid of him?
If you promote an academy player into the, I think I read this somewhere. I have double trouble sources, which you have to do, which is when I've tripped myself up in the past because the source has been wrong. I think if you promote someone from the B list, you can't then put them back down on the B list. They are now permanently in on the A list quota. So it's not an issue in numbers for us because we can put 20 academy players on the B list that are under 21s on that list, But it's a problem if you're bringing foreign players in and they want Champions League football and you've already got the players here. That's why I think we sold Basuma. I mean, I like Bentancur, but we might even sell him. He's down to 1 year. He hasn't signed his contract yet. Basuma's down to 1 year. He hasn't signed his contract. If you don't sign, go, right? We can't get sentimental about it, So, yeah. So we see on that. All right, anyone else got any soundings? I just want to mention a couple of players I've looked at recently. I don't know if you guys have, and then we'll end. Yeah. Okay, then we'll move on. Oh, let me go through the chat. I've been ignoring the chat. What we got here? You may be right, David Clark. Yeah.
Well, it won't be Paulinho. That Brazilian left us a long time ago. Paulinho might.
Big up Brian. I know Brian in real life.
Beast of THC, which is Brett, isn't it? He mentioned Alex Scott from Bournemouth, who is English midfielder, who is also a big Spurs fan as well. Like he actually looks semi decent, but again, Bournemouth now aren't shy of money, are they? With the amount of players that they've ended up or having to sell and stuff like that. So I think they would want a big fee for him as well.
Yeah. So we got Alex Scott to later. Just flip through some of these. None of the all this considerates that he wants to win the Premier League Champions League. Look, we know we're a long way short of players, David. It's not going to be done in this transfer window. Won't be done at January. Or if we get this window right, then if we've got the next summer's one right, then we might be out of challenge for the Premier League. But it's a weird one over Eze, though, David, isn't it? I mean, like, because all the talk about Eze, all the BS you get in, like, the media out there, the lower tier, even the higher tier, it's all called as if something's gone on, as if he wants to go to Arsenal or whatever. Don't know. Is there something else we don't know about these players? You know. So, I mean, I don't know about that. Let me go back to the banners. Okay. Because of the left back, I want to look for one, right? Now, are any of you can come in on this? Is any of you know this guy? I put the video out to all of you.
We were linked to Bradley Locko a few year or so ago.
Yeah.
Back then he looked like a very, very good, promising player. Fast, strong. I think it'd be good to. Well, look, we need to get a left back in. That's plain and simple, isn't it? Unless Thomas Frank is actually the reason why we're linked with so many centre backs, is because Thomas Frank is actually earmarked Van der Ven for that left back role. But
he's played there for Holland, isn't he? But
he played there for us a few games as well.
Yeah. James, have you watched Bradley Locko? I sent you a video. Did you watch it? No.
I think
that's enough. All right then. If you've been busy, I mean, Deji's had business calls today and all that. So, like, have you seen Bradley Locko, Deji?
I haven't, but
the videos there if you want to watch him. Like.
But what I can say is that I reckon we can pick up Robertson from Fulham for about 40 million.
Yeah.
I
think you get Locko cheaper.
Yeah, I think the issue with dealing with Premier League clubs is because every Premier League club has, a lot of money. Any player you sign you're going to be playing an inflated quantity of money. Plus, everyone knows we have 60 million burning a hole in our pockets at the moment, which is going to make negotiations stressful for Daniel Levy.
Yeah.
I do think even if 40 million on a backup left back, we're not the club that does that, And I think should be right position we're in now. But those sorts of positions we will fill cheaply. You're looking at 25 million maximum. We're going to spend on a backup left back, I think. Rightly or wrongly.
We know, look, we only got to read between the lines, though, there's money coming in. There's a lot more than 60 mil there lurking because, like, we know that even after Moore Gibbs White, we were looking for others anyway, right? So we were going to spend more money than that. So it's not just going to be a naming rights deal of 25 million a year or 20 million a year for 20 years of 400 or 500 million, because that 25 million a year, that'll only pay the interest on their debt anyway. So that tells me we have got a massive investment coming in. That can come from two things. You can get a 60 million a year shirt deal, which gets you a player a year, basically, right? Or you can get a massive investment from, say, America or Saudi, right? A 300 mil, buy out of Phoenix shares. Not all of them. They're going to keep some behind. They know this club's always going to make money. They're going to stick with it. We're not going to sell all their shares. So, like, yeah, okay. We'll talk about that another time. This guy, I like this guy. Have you watched him at all? Any of you? No. We were interested in him when Conte was with us, and he was at Juventus as a 20-year-old. You've got videos I've sent you. You can go and watch him. I think he's a cracking-looking player. Really is a cracking-looking player. Scores goals. I mean, like, he's good. You know, just take a look, guys, in the chat. You know, go and watch some videos. I use Brazil Scout mainly, but yeah, he's a cracking player.
I would like to point out,
Go on.
it's 22-year-old winger who's Argentinian from Roma. And I believe we signed Eric Lamela, who was an Argentinian winger from Roma, who was, I think, 22 as well. I think he was 22.
Yeah, but we got Brian Gill for
23.
Yeah.
23. So,
And we gave him money as well. We gave him money as well. Loads of money.
what a wonderful deal that was.
Yeah. Right.
Dom Paratici, one of his specials.
Well, 9 of his players played in the final.
Yeah, I mean, that particular special gave everyone at the rest food poisoning.
I mean, some players you buy are going to be good. Some players are going to be crap. That's the problem. The problem we have at the moment is that we're not buying any players.
Yeah, that's the issue. Like, to some extent, you're going to have a failure rate, even if you're a perfect
for sure. There's absolutely no way that every single player you buy is going to be a success. I mean, that Sule from Roma now, who was at Juventus, he's very good player, very, very chicky. Like, I would compare him to like Alvarez, would be my sort of like comparison of a player of style that he kind of plays as. He gives you versatility across the front, but how much you'd need to get him, I don't know. I think it would be quite expensive, which is why, you know,
I think you get him around 40.
Yeah, but you could get El Canous from Leicester, who's got Premier League experience, is young, and he's got a dare I say this word because it gives me PTSD now. He has a relegation release clause of around 22 million. And
I see that. I just haven't seen the player. See, I can't watch them all. Right, I haven't seen them all.
I mean, the one that's gone quiet, that I would be surprised and will eventually help us with homegrown, or does help us with homegrown. I can't remember how old he is, but that's gone quiet. That was mentioned quite a lot. Is Tyler Diblin?
Yeah, Southampton. Yeah.
I wonder that's gone quiet on all fronts. No one seems to be bidding for him. Like, so, obviously I know Southampton wanted like 50, 60 million or something stupid.
Oh, 100 million. You know where the press are. I mean, like, they think of a number and treble it, don't they? So, guys, it's been a great show. We will wrap up. Still got over 120 of you viewing us, which is fantastic for our small little group. We've only been going a year, but we thank you for your support. I want to big up to everyone in the chat. Thank you for all your comments and questions. Big up to my guests. You know you are. Like I said, our shows go out Tuesdays. Me and Tom are going to be regulars doing the Champions League on a Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on when the games are played. Then you've got Fridays, it's Drew. At the same time, he hosts, I co-host. And then Sundays, Ian hosts and I co-host. So we pride ourselves on bringing you interesting shows and good content. So if you like our content, please give the videos a thumbs up. And if any of the 120 of you still viewing us on all platforms haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, because it really does help the algorithm. And it makes what us do worthwhile, So, big up to Deji, big up to James, and big up to fellow admin Tom. And with that, I'll see you guys in the back room, and I'll play you out with this.